Okay, good morning, everyone. I think we're ready to start now. So thank you everyone for joining our webinar this morning. I'm just going to go through, sorry, the screen is frozen. I'm just going to go through a little bit of housekeeping here. So just to start off, we are recording this webinar. If you do have any questions throughout, please can you use the chat panel or pop it in the Q&A box. We will have a session at the end of the webinar. And everyone have your cameras off and stay on mute, please. If there are any issues, just raise your hand and we can assist you there. So my name is Hannah. I'm the account manager here at Envisage, and I am joined by Raj, who is the senior partnership director for AP and AOR in Quadient. And our agenda for this morning, Raj will take you through an introduction to Quadient, and he will go through the AOR demo. I will then run through the benefits of the integration with Sage, and we will have a Q&A panel. Just to note, we have scheduled this in for an hour, but we hope to be able to finish up a little bit early to give you some time back. So I will hand over to Raj now.
Thank you, Hannah. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening for whatever time you're viewing this webinar. As Hannah mentioned, my name is Raj Harash. I am the Partnerships Director for Quadient. And I'm just going to give you a little background in terms of who Quadient are. So you've probably heard of us before. Next year, we're almost at the end of the year. We're going to be, excuse me, we're going to be 100 years old. So Quadient was formerly known as Neopost, and in 2016, we rebranded Neopost into what is known today as Quadient. In terms of who we are, or in terms of some of our stats, you can see the stats on the screen now. We have revenues or a turnover of over 1.4 billion. We are headquartered in France. We do obviously have a UK HQ based in Stratford, East London. We have numerous offices, 33 in fact, offices globally, and we have more than 550,000 customers globally, ranging from small businesses all the way up to large banks, multinationals, governments, institutions, etc., etc. And we're superbly supported by around 6,000 employees globally as well. Hannah, next slide, please. Thank you. So, as you can imagine, the size of Quadient, I'm just going to give you a little background in terms of how the divisions are split, and also how accounts receivable has also molded its way into the Quadient journey. So the division that I represent is called ICA, and ICA stands for Intelligent Communication Automation. So within ICA, we have a number of solutions that we can provide to automate the back office, particularly in this case, the finance back office. We have, if you have a look at the bottom left there, excuse me, we have customer experience management. So whatever we do, we try to keep the heart of whatever we do, it's at the heart of the customer. So the customer is always on our brain whenever we are communicating to them. Within that, we've got Quadient Accounts Receivable, we've got Customer Communication, Quadient Accounts Payable, and Document Delivery as well. So effectively, any paper or any communications that you are doing within your organization, Quadient can help you automate, streamline, improve efficiencies within there via our host of solutions. Next slide, please. Today, we're going to be speaking to you particularly about the order-to-cash solution that we have, Quadient Accounts Receivable. We also do have a procure-to-pay solution. Both of these solutions integrate directly into the Sage platform. These are pre-built connectors. They are not connectors where we would ask you to upload data into an FTP site. We have purposely built these connectors. From an order-to-cash or Quadient Accounts Receivable perspective, we have a wide range of clients. But one of the benefits that you can have by partnering with Envisage Cloud and with Envisage and with Quadient is that we can also talk to you about procure-to-pay. And there is a webinar that we are doing in early January to showcase this as well. Next slide, please. So this is just one of our many clients that we have. In total, I mentioned that we had about 550,000 clients within Quadient. The solution that I'm going to be speaking to you about today is the accounts receivable one. And David Martins here is actually now the VP of Order to Cash. And he chose Quadient accounts receivable because CPL were a growing organization. They're actually based in Dublin, CPL. They're a recruitment firm, and they were acquiring a number of companies, and they needed to automate a lot of their back office. Well, I'm very proud to say that not only have they gone through a series of acquisitions, those acquisitions have fallen nicely within that group, but most importantly, it's allowed David and his team to scale at pace without the additional costs of hiring. So there's some interesting stats there that you can see. I mean, David reduced DSO by up to 25%. They improved the customer satisfaction score. It also allowed them to move their business to a subscription model. Happy to talk about that in more detail a little bit later. Next slide, please. So as you can imagine, if we speak specifically about Quadient accounts receivable, I'll give you a little very quick background of us. Quadient accounts receivable was formerly known as YayPay. YayPay was born in London in 2015 and was then kind of moved to New York. The reason for that move was purely for funding related. Back in those days, it was easier to get funding for a SaaS-based company over in New York than it was in London. So that's where our journey started. And our journey has been quite explosive. So currently on the Quadient accounts receivable platform, we have close to nearly 600 clients. These are just some of the clients that we have. Also in 2020, that was when the acquisition happened for YayPay to be acquired by Quadient, and now we are fully integrated into the Quadient platform. So you can see some interesting names there. We've got Sage. Sage is not only a strategic partner of ours, as I mentioned before, we integrate into a lot of their solutions. So Sage has a wide variety of solutions, as you would know. So Sage 200, Sage Intacct, Sage X3, and a wide variety of others we integrate into. And additionally, we also, I'd like to say, we drink our own champagne. What I mean by that, Quadient also uses YayPay or Quadient accounts receivable in 24 of our 33 offices globally. So that's a little bit of a background about Quadient accounts receivable, how it was acquired, etc., etc. Can you please go to the next slide, please? That's going to lead me nicely on to the demo. So I'm going to share my screen just in one moment. And Hannah, if I can ask you to let me know once you can see that, please.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay, great. So I think it's worth, just before I go into the demonstration, we have partnered with Envisage, and Envisage are our premier partner in Ireland. So Envisage also will be using Quadient accounts receivable in their own practice as well. So the first thing to point out is that when you log into Quadient accounts receivable, and I'm going to refer to this as YayPay, it's probably easier. It's unlimited users, so we do not charge you for the users. You can have your whole organization logged in to YayPay, and you can restrict those rights and restrict those users to what you want to see. So when someone logs in, this is what they will see. So I'm just going to go through these ribbons and this dashboard very quickly. So you will see what's the current status of invoices, what's overdue, what's promised to pay, what's pending and paid. again, because I'm integrated directly into the Sage 200s and the Sage Intacts of this world, and indeed others, I can actually go into my overdue bucket and go in to each of these invoices and accounts should I need to. At the bottom here, I've got another ribbon where it's got my DSO and how that's been calculated. So that's 42. And excuse me, how I compared to last week. My cash collected and the comparison from last week. Any open invoices, again, comparison to last week, and any reminders that are opened and any accounts requiring a call. Up at the top here, in my in this instance, in my demo instance, I've got 11 companies, and that's my outstanding AR or accounts receivable balance. Now, many of you may have additional legal entities, subsidiaries. You may want to report differently per division, per region, per company, etc., etc. That's no problem at all. Up at the top here, where it says YayPay RH, your list of companies will be, or your legal entities will be delivered there or demonstrated there. And whichever companies or regions, etc., etc., you give me, I will always give you a +1, which is a consolidated view of that. If I continue to the dashboards, I go over here. This is the average days to pay. So it's going in the right direction. So I'm very happy with that. And over here are just my top 10 customers, but we apply this scoring to all of our customers. Now, what is this scoring? So this is an A to D scoring on how customers are paying you. I'll repeat. This is A to D scoring on how customers are paying you. You may be using a credit bureau to get credit scores, and you may continue to do so. However, my concern is, how is the customer paying you? So from here, you've got this scoring, and this is an algorithm that we have created and we have patented. So if I take Hooli as an example, this is a D player and they're going down. And a downward arrow means that the status of how they're paying you is getting worse. In the future, you're going to have another scoring mechanism here, and the likes of Credit Safety and B, Experian, all the credit service providers or the ones that you have assigned to, their credit rating will be here. Now, you may think, okay, that's interesting, but why? Let's take Hooli as an example. A credit bureau or provider may have scored them an A rating on how they're paying their customers, but they're paying you as a D. So you may want to understand why. Equally, you've got Reed & Steele, who could be paying everybody else as a D, but they're paying you as an A. Now, that's a number of questions that you can ask them within that. But it allows you to increase credit limits based upon this scoring. Also behind this scoring, A, B, C, and D, are workflows, which I'm going to show you in just 2 minutes. Those workflows, if Reed & Steele were to go from A to B, B to C, C to D, you can imagine in the back, the workflows, the cadences of those workflows would increase. The language may change for that to become more direct, etc., etc. Equally, if Hooli go from D to A, the reverse would happen. But I'm going to come back to this in a few more moments. So, firstly, we need to get the data in, right? It's pointless showing you all of this if you don't have any data in within the system. So, as I mentioned, we have a pre-built connector to the Sage products. We pull this information circa every 60 minutes. Now, I'm going to just give you a quick example of what teams may be doing if they don't have YayPay. So they would go into a Sage Intacct, Sage 200, Sage 50, etc., etc., and they would download an age debtors report. They would filter that age debtors report, and if you've got a team of credit controllers, you just send that out to the credit controllers. The credit controllers would then chase on the back of that and update those notes on the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet will come back to me. I would then, or if I'm the credit control manager, I would then obviously put together an analysis of what to do to present to the senior stakeholders. Well, I'm pleased to say all of that is automated here within YayPay. So Again, I mentioned we integrate directly into the finance system. We pull that data every 60 minutes. All of these accounts during scoping would already be assigned to the appropriate individuals or the appropriate owners of that of those accounts. But if there's a new account that's been assigned, the super user can go in, mark clicked here, and assign that to the appropriate staff member from here. So we automate all of that. So that's the first piece of automation that we do. The second piece of automation that we do is then the workflows. So showing you the aging report. Now, if I go into workflows, I can have as many workflows as I want. Excuse me, just for 1 minute. I can have as many workflows as I want. So you can see the number of workflows that I have here. In this specific demonstration, I'm going to focus on these three here, and in particular this key account workflow. So just for demonstration purposes, I've got a key account workflow, I've got a mid-market workflow, and I've got a one-off customer workflow. So in a business, key accounts, my medium accounts, and then customers that just procure my services, my products off me every now and again. My messaging to all three of them is going to be different. So let's go into the key account workflow. So within this key account workflow, I have a number of rules that I've based this on. So invoice is 15 days overdue. I send an email reminder, etc., etc. I can create to-do items within that. But where it comes into its own is the timeline. So in this specific example, I'm going to be sending an email 2 days before the due date with the appropriate open invoices. So the current, the 1 to 30, 61 to 90, etc., etc. And I'm going to attach a customer statement as well as a child company statement and any supplemental documents as well. I'm going to send that to the billing contact. And just because I can see Hannah within that, this will all be customized for Hannah. So it'll be, hello, Hannah. This is a friendly reminder that your invoice and the invoice number here, we will take from the finance system. For the amount of invoice total, again, we're taking from the finance system with the business name from the finance system on the invoice due date from the finance system. So in essence, what we're saying, hello, Hannah, this is a gentle reminder that here's the invoice that is due within 2 days. We look forward to receiving that payment. Hannah doesn't pay me within 2 days. So what I do is now I've got into the overdue section, and now you can see I'm sending another communication, which is 1 day after the due date. Again, I'm putting the appropriate attachments within that, and now the first set of dunnings starts. So, hello, Hannah, please note that you have an invoice. Again, invoice number, invoice total, that is now 30 past due. Hannah still hasn't paid me. 4 days after the due date, I have now resent that email again automatically. But if you can see now, I've gone from Hannah, the billing contact. I've also looped in our own customer success people. So our customer success, account managers, renewal managers, any department that has dealings with Hannah may know something that I don't. So in this instance, the customer success manager may come back to me and say, look, Hannah is off on holiday for the next 3 weeks, so nothing is going to be, you may want to contact X. Okay, great. I continue to do this, and if I don't get a response, I can issue a call. I can then, after the call, I can again send out another email. And on that email now, you can see I'm including more people within the organization, whether that's internally or externally. This continues all the way down until the debt is delinquent. So you've got a full audit trail, you've got full audit controls within this, etc., etc. Now, there's a number of things that you can do within this as well. So we work off a thing called global rules. So what are global rules? If I go into them. And I'm just going to give you a couple of examples here. So so I've got through to Hannah now, and Hannah owes me X, X number of euros. It's X numbers over the due date. And Hannah says that, okay, I promise to pay on a certain date. So once we've created that promise to pay, we automatically exclude that from any workflows, or automatically exclude further communication going out to Hannah. If, however, Hannah doesn't pay me on that due date, I can then move that back into a workflow if needs be. And that's the same with disputes as well. So dispute is opened, excluded, dispute is closed, moves back into the workflow. We can put an SLA in to the workflow that may go to a different department, and they may need to respond in a certain time manner, etc., etc. Those are just some of the global rules that we've got, but we've got a wide variety of others. So we'll speak a little bit more about this later. When a credit application is received, assign a rule to that. When a balance is approaching credit limits, so you may want to send the customer a notification to say, look, your credit limit is approaching X, and you may want to loop in the account manager, customer success manager within there. As I mentioned, a wide variety of global rules that can trigger an event. So you may think, okay, well, you've got all of these global rules, so how difficult is it to create a template? Very easy. If I go into email templates, here are some examples that we have given you. And as you can see, if you know how to operate Word, you better operate our email template. Again, this is limited. You can limit this to certain users, entirely up to you, very configurable. So let's actually go and actually create a template. So I'm going to go to add template, and I'm going to refer to this as to disputes template. And the subject is disputed invoice. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm getting a number of these. How is it best to communicate this back to the customer without sounding rude or without sounding too direct? So I'm struggling here to understand how to word this. Well, if I go over to here and go generate template, we have now integrated this to ChatGPT. And what this is doing now is scouring the web, and it's creating an example of a template for you. Now, you may not want to use all of that. You may want to change a few words within that, but now it's giving you a template to use to send out to the customer. One of the other things that we also do is that we integrate directly into your mailbox. So you may have info at your company name, credit control at your company name, finance at your company name. We would integrate directly in there. And what we would do is that we are using now artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities to read the email. The whole purpose of this is to provide you with a one-touch response back. So this is to this informs me that this invoice was paid paid recently, and from here what I can do a wide variety of things. I can add this to a selected workflow. I can do a reminder later if I want to, all the way through, and if needs be, I can reply to Dwight from here. Now, if I do reply to Dwight, it won't come from Envisage, Quadient, YayPay, or anything like that. It will actually come from your email address. So I've given you an overview in terms of integrations. I've given you an overview of workflows. So what do the credit control team do now? Because we've automated a lot of that stuff. Well, they would sit in this to-do task here. So as a credit controller, first thing in the morning, I'd go to my to-do and I will see what all of my open items are and any overdue items are. So have we marked them in terms of priority order? And I can see what's current and also completed. As a manager, I can see all of my team's status from here. And it may be a case that John has decided to call in sick this morning, is unable to work. So I can look at John's tasks, and through 2 or 3 clicks of a button, I can assign all of John's tasks to Nathan. Equally, I can see if there's any bounced emails, any calls, any disputes, and what the priority of these are as well. Now, let's just say a customer rings in, or indeed you chase a customer and you want to see a health status of that account. Let's go to Wayne Enterprises. Again, I'm pulling all this information from the finance system, so it's as real time as possible. So once I've pulled all that information in, this is now the health check of that account. So as you can see here, I've got the scoring, which is a B for this customer. I've got what's current, what's disputed, what's overdue, any promise to pays, any pendings, and any paid. I've got all of my open invoices here as well as closed invoices, my open credits, etc., etc. This icon here, this warning icon, means that there's a dispute against this particular invoice, and there's a supplementary document attached to this invoice. We've also got our probability as to how likely these are going to pay. And on the right-hand side, we've got our contacts. We've got payments, and now you can actually accept payments over the phone. More on that in just 2 minutes. And you can share documents with this company as well. Because we have unlimited users, all of the activity is logged, and your unlimited users, if you require, you can actually give them, grant them accesses to this, and that gives them, like an account manager, the complete history in terms of what's been going on within the account. So all emails are logged, and emails, call logs, notes, disputes, etc., etc. Everything is in one place. We can also push this information back into a CRM, such as Salesforce, if that's what you're using. Up at the top here, I can actually download statements, assign parent companies. I can change my workflow if I want. So this may be a key account workflow, but they've moved into the mid-market or vice versa. But I could also do a number of other things. Now, one of the most common excuses that are given when people are chasing invoices is that I never received the invoice. Okay. So in that instance, we could resend that invoice. So we'll select from that template. So I'll pick on Jenna at this on this point. So Jenna hasn't received my email, or claims she hasn't received my email. So I'm going to send Jenna not only a monthly statement, but also attach any open files or any open invoices for that too as well. I send that to Jenna. I'm going to refresh my page. And whilst that's refreshing, I've got an email log. It's actually gone to Bruce, but in the demo instance, you know what I mean. And this is what Jenna will receive. So a logo of the company, and it will say, "Dear Jenna, your current account balance is X. You can view your account by using this link." Now, you may want to change the wording here, but what you want to do is to drive all traffic to this link. Why? Well, let's actually go in. So if I click on that link, this is now opening up my very own white labeled, that is you as the customer, there'll be your logo up there, white labeled customer portal. Within the customer portal are all of my open invoices and the status of them. Any closed invoices, any open credits, any payments, etc., etc. Again, I've got my contacts. I can make a payment. Again, I'm going to come back to this in just 2 seconds. And I can upload documents. Bear in mind, I am now the client. So from here, I can actually see this invoice here, number 1200, is £1,700 and it's overdue. Well, what can I do with that? I can actually add, I can add a promise to pay from here. I can raise a dispute. I can make a partial payment, or indeed I can download an invoice. But in this instance, I want to make a payment. So I go to new card and I go pay. And what this is doing is now taking you into one of our payment partners. So the customer journey is not compromised at all. This makes you PCI compliant. I would fill in all of the details, click continue. I would now submit that payment. and that payment is going to be made by the merchant provider or collected by the merchant provider, we will then get tokenized data back. So we never get the full data in terms of the credit card details, etc., etc. Again, making you our PCI GDPR compliant. Now, if I go back to the statement, let's try that again. Go back to the statement. That should, yes, it's moved from 1700 overdue to pending. Now, the beauty of our integration with the likes of Sage is now it's up to you how you want me to allocate those funds. I can either do allocation, so I can allocate that fund and close off that invoice, or I can do unallocate, which means that somebody within your organization will need to go into Sage and close off that invoice there as well. If I go back now to the main dashboard and go up to the main dashboard, I can hopefully now, this should come to light. You can see that a payment has been made. Again, it's in real time. I've got numerous other dashboards now as well. So I've got an open invoices dashboard. So it's telling me on the 30th of November what my current and my overdue bracket was. I've got email reminders. One thing I failed to mention, every time we send an email out via YayPay, we actually include a pixel in that email. So when Jenna says that I didn't receive that email, we've actually got data to show actually Jenna did receive that email and when she viewed it. Hence why you can see what's been sent, what's viewed, and what's failed to view as well. I've got my cash collected, again, a great dashboard to have. But this one is by far my favorite. Now, what I can do is go 7, 14, 30, or 60 days. And again, I'm using artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities to predict the future. So let's go to January the 4th, 2024. I've got a promise to pay for Reed and Steel. They're an A player, so I'm happy with that. You know, they will be coming in. I've got a projected to pay for Hooley. Okay, I need to keep an eye on that. They're a D player. And I've got a projected to be unpaid by Los Polos Hermanos. They're a B player. And if I click on that, and if there's a dispute code associated with that, or a dispute code has been associated with that in the past, it will tell me the reasons why that's not going to be paid. So it allows you to mitigate any risk prior to the event happening. At the bottom here, mainly for your credit controllers, this is really giving you analysis as to what to prioritize. So if all of these are overdue, this Reed and Steel invoice is overdue. It's 1 day overdue. Our system is saying that it's going to be paid between 61 to 90 days. Stark Industries, that's 10 days overdue. They'll pay between 31 to 60. This promise to pay over here is overdue again, but they don't pay until 90 plus days. So you may want to chase this. But what this is allowing you to do is just allowing you to prioritize as to what you may want to focus on. There's a wide variety of other things that we've got. I've got a list of all of my credit control team, how they're performing, when was the last emails opened, and any goals that we've got within there as well. So that's to give a high-level overview of Quadient accounts receivable by YayPay. If I go back to the demonstration, let's just open that up. So the benefits of integrating with Sage is that you get one integration solution for your AR needs. Hopefully, I've demonstrated how you can include payments into your process as well, and also how we can close those invoices back in Sage Intacct and Sage 200. And also, hopefully, I've demonstrated how by giving visibility to all of the staff, all of your staff, how hopefully cash can come in faster to the organization. That brings me to an end to our demonstration and indeed our webinar. I'd like to open it up to the floor. Hannah, I don't know if there's been any questions that we've got come in.
Let me just check now, Raj. I can see we have one question here anyway, which is, do you have a direct connector to go into Sage 200 or Sage Intacct?
Yes, we do. So we are actually on Sage's ISV marketplace. Now they're going through a bit of a revamp in terms of their website at the moment, so more to that to follow. But recently we've just signed a global contract. So not only are we do we have a direct integration into Sage 200 and Sage Intacct, but over in North America and Canada, Sage have also white labeled some of our solutions as well. And also, I did mention right at the start of the presentation that Sage also use us in their shared services center here in Newcastle as well.
Brilliant. That's great. Thank you, Raj. I can't see anything else in there at the moment. I'll maybe just give it a couple of seconds in case anyone else has any further questions.
Yep.
Perfect. I don't see anything else coming in. If anyone does have any questions, you can send us over an email. My email is hannahhart@envisagecloud.ie. Or you can give the office a call, 01822 and we're happy to assist with any queries you may have. I think that's us then finishing up for this morning. So thank you to everyone that joined, and thank you very much, Raj, for your time and your demonstration.
Thank you very much. Have a good day, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.